Let's try that again. There we go. All right, good evening, everyone. This is Pastor Anthony here with your Daily Excellence. Thank you guys so much for being on the channel this evening. It is a little after 8 o'clock here, Eastern Standard Time. And good to have everybody with us. Got about 27 of you joined us here on, looks like YouTube, about 6 of you over on Rumble. So hopefully the next few minutes or so, everybody will start to coming on and getting into the chat room, things like that. Looks like the notifications didn't go out again. So it's pretty much a standard these days. So because of that, if you guys could do me a huge favor and just like and share, subscribe, do all those things, but mainly make sure you guys share, kind of push that out there so people know that we're on. And definitely appreciate that. Let's see. Do a little bit of a roll call here before we get going this morning as we wait for people to, or this evening as we wait for people to come on. We got Texas Girl coming in. She said that they are ice covered there in West Texas. Yeah, a good chunk of the nation is under ice and snow right now. Belinda Repose, shalom to you. Rattling Bones from Idaho, good to see you. Denny, Celino, good to have you. And praying that we're warm. We're trying to be warm. It is currently 7 degrees here. Right now, we've got a lot of snow on the ground, and it doesn't look like we're going to get above freezing anytime soon. Maybe in about 2 weeks, we have a shot at maybe hitting 35, but yeah, we're going to be cold for a while. Let's see. Bob Lemon, good to have you on. Let's see. What else we got going on here? So that's looks like we got everybody called in so far. So good to have everybody here. So, all right. So yeah, a few things going on in the news today we're going to discuss. Of course, you may have noticed the title for today, and it is the good old Doomsday Clock. Yes, it's been moved up again for Doomsday Clock 2026. We'll go over that article here in just a little bit and discuss just how close we are to the apocalyptic end of the world scenario that they like to talk to us about. We got E-Scrub. One joining us. Thank you. Glad that you're here with us. So we'll talk about that tonight. Also, a new virus is emerging in India. And for those of you that follow us over on X, you would have seen this that we posted. And I'll take you over there real quick. And we made this post over on X. Let's see. There we go. I always have to fix these. But anyway, a new deadly NyPrepper virus outbreak has been reported in India. At this time, this was on a couple of days ago, with 5 infected in West Bengal, including 2 nurses in critical condition and 100 people quarantined. It's been known that this virus spreads rapidly and has a mortality rate of about 75%. And so we're going to get into that article this evening because it's possible, and that's what I shared over here. This could be the new pandemic that everyone's been talking about. Mike from COT has been talking about this. For those of you that follow Last Days 24/7, he's been talking about this for quite some time, for almost a year now. The Lord showed him that there was going to be something coming, and it was going to be a bad one. And so it's possible that this may be it. And so we'll take a dive into what's happening with that. Also, we were getting some reports coming out of Iran that there has been reports of explosions at an Iranian nuclear facility. So people are trying to figure out, if we did it, maybe they did it. We'll look into that article as well. And then, of course, if you look at the article next to it here, we see that Iran threatens to sink the USS Abraham Lincoln as the Middle East edges closer to a cataclysmic showdown. Also, we're getting word that Trump is sending yet another fleet, or armada, as he likes to put it, over into this part of the world. So a lot to cover this evening, a lot of moving parts tonight. So we'll get into those articles and suggestions. And of course, if that wasn't enough, let's see if I can pull it up again. There's a little bit more taking place. but we're looking at the potential of the US dollar being done. And here's this part, and I'll show you that right here too. As the US dollar is free falling, any moment it will completely fail. 99% of people have no idea what is coming. Okay, so and even Trump was putting out a statement earlier. Let's see if I can find it, where he tweeted out that the US dollar is going to crash. So, and here's another one. US dollar reaches lowest level in 4 years. So the US dollar is crashing. So what does that mean for you? Well, it just means we're going to reset. Okay. And pretty much that's what everybody's been shooting for, is a reset anyway. Let's see if I can find that from Trump real quick. I just saw it a second ago, but the thing about Twitter X is if you don't catch it, you'll lose it. So let's see. Give me just a second here. Here it is. Found it. Boom, right there. Donald Trump admitting right there, the dollar collapse is happening right now. Okay, so it was worth taking a few minutes of silence there to point that out. Okay. So anyway, a lot going on in the news, and we'll get into all those in just a moment. If you haven't done so yet, please like, share, subscribe to us. Also, you can follow us over on Facebook, where we're live there tonight. And we are also over on Instagram. Would love to have you guys follow us, be part of what we're doing there. And of course, we're over on Patreon as well. You can support us over on Patreon. Everything we have over there is free. Okay. All you have to do is just create yourself an account, and then you will be able to follow us and be a part of what we're doing over on Patreon, and a part of the over 2,000 files that we have over there, all accessible. You know, you can do that for free. We don't charge for anything over there. And so we pray that you guys will be part of that over on Patreon. If you decide to donate, you can. You do have the option to donate over there. We have some options for you, or you can come up with your own dollar amount. It's up to you. We don't do tithes or offerings here on the channel. We prefer that you keep that for your local ministry in your area. We just take donations whenever you are able to or want to. Just remember, we are listener supported ministry. That means we are not government funded. Okay. That means that it is you, the listener, that supports us, and we're able to keep doing what we're doing. So, all right. That being said, everyone, we'll be right back. We're going to give our sponsor, EMP Shield, their 60 seconds, and we'll be right back.
With over 37 models that can be used around the world, our family of EMP protection devices installs easily in minutes. Being employed this year by federal organizations and electrical companies, the EMP Shield has been tested at Keystone Compliance, a federally approved DoD testing facility. Also serving as one of the world's fastest whole home surge protection devices, working in less than 1 nanosecond, the EMP Shield will protect against electromagnetic pulses, coronal mass ejections, lightning, and all forms of power surges. Proven to withstand more than 40 EMP strikes with zero degradation, the EMP Shield is also one of the world's strongest surge protectors, capable of withstanding over 100,000 amps.
All right, that's EMP Shield, guys. If you haven't done so, you should check out our friends over at empshield.com. Check out all of the devices they have if you want to protect your home, protect your car, protect your boat, protect your generator, whatever you have, from electromagnetic pulses, lightning, weaponry, things like that. You can do that. Department of Homeland Security uses those. DHS, made here in the United States. So if you'd like to order yourself a device, you can do that. Make sure you use promo code DAILY because that will save you $50 off your device. We have one of the best discounts offered here on YouTube and over on other platforms. So we actually get not a percentage, but the actual cost dollar amount of $50 off that device. And of course, not only do you save money and protect your home, but you support us here on Daily Excellence. And so we appreciate everything and anything that you're able to do for that. All right. Now that we've gone through all that, thank you. Thank you, Scott's Hut, or let's see, Scott's Shut Hats. Thank you for that tonight. Yes, we have a lot of interesting topics this evening. And so I think tonight, as we continue to wait for more people, of course, our main headliner is Doomsday Clock 2026. And this could be the reason why they ticked up the Doomsday Clock, because of the topics that we're going to discuss tonight. So let's actually jump into, we're going to go back over to Twitter X, and I'm going to kind of go over some of this stuff about the dollar collapse, because I actually just came across this right before we came online this evening, like literally within seconds before we went online. This had caught my eye. So I actually haven't had a chance to actually review some of this yet. So I'm going to be reviewing this with you guys tonight as we go through this. So here we go. And here's the thing about Twitter X, you have to be kind of careful what you see and who puts out what, because there's sometimes you'll see videos and they'll say, oh, this happened 5 minutes ago, but the video could be from like 3 years ago. Okay. Or it could be an AI or Goric image. All right. So you got to be careful what you do over here. So I'm just putting a disclaimer out there in accordance with the community guidelines. Okay. For especially for us here on YouTube. All right. So here we go. This is one report that came out here. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this gentleman's name here. But basically it's stating here that based on this post, I think it's certain that Mr. Poole knew today that the dollar would crash. In other words, this isn't a natural dollar decline caused by market adjustment, but it's part of a much larger plan. That means it's a turning point and a trigger. Okay. And so basically what's happening with the dollar right now is gold shot up over $50,000, or not 50. Whew, if it shot up over $50,000, we'd be having bigger problems tonight. But it's over $5,000 an ounce. And so what's happening is all of the money and the wealth transfer has gone back to gold. Okay, everything's putting their value and their weight back in gold. They're getting away from the U.S. dollar. Okay, and so if the U.S. dollar was backed by gold, this would be a great thing for our economy and for our country right now. However, that's not what's happened, because our fiat is backed by oil. Oil isn't doing so hot right at the moment, and it's not as valuable as gold is. And so because gold has become so valuable that the U.S. dollar has lost 50% of its value. Okay, and so what's happening here is that President Trump may effectively be cutting rates on the Fed's behalf by letting the dollar slide. All right. And so that's very possible as we have charges coming against the Treasury, and those that are running that, they're going to let the dollar just kind of dip down. And honestly, this is part of the plan. This is part of the reset. We know that Trump's been planning this since he took office. We saw all these ratifications and all of these bills and executive orders for cryptocurrency. We've been seeing the federal government has been stocking up on Bitcoin and XRP and Litecoin and these other coins. They've been stocking up on these things and making a crypto treasury, so to speak. And of course, the blockchain technology has been expanding rapidly, and now we've got AI and all these other things. And so, in my personal opinion, because I am not a financial advisor, I'm not a crypto expert or anything like that, but in my non-expert opinion, I think that Trump knew coming into this administration that the dollar was going to collapse during his administration, during his time, and that there's already been a plan in place to digitalize the U.S. dollar, to remove it from the fiat system, because the fiat system is crashing. Okay, even Trump showed at the beginning of the broadcast, Trump put out a tweet through social media, or what's his True Social, that's his account, saying that the dollar collapse is happening right now. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to transition over to this digital US coin, so to speak. Okay. And I don't know how quick this is going to happen. It could happen in the next couple of weeks, could happen in 6 months, could be another couple more years. But what I'm saying is that the networks and all the mechanisms have already been set to handle this transfer. Now, will there be disruptions? Absolutely. You can count on the disruptions. There will be that. Okay. And so let's see what else is happening. Of course, we saw something similar to this back in 2028 when gold rose, and then the U.S. dollar took a hit, and then, of course, our economy took a hit, and then the Obama administration did a massive bailout to the banks because of the housing market collapse and all those things. And it's very possible we could see another bubble burst in the housing market. And with everything being so inflated, it's only a matter of time before that takes place. Of course, according to stockmarketnews. It says here that the U.S. dollar just hit its lowest level in nearly 4 years at 95.60. The collapse happened right after Trump said the dollar is doing great and he is unconcerned about its weakness. The irony is brutal. No amount of cheerleading stops a currency sell-off when confidence actually breaks. Three major forces are crashing the U.S. dollar simultaneously. First, policy uncertainty is killing confidence. Trump's unpredictable tariffs and aggressive geopolitical posturing have spooked global investors. Second is the rate expectations matter. Markets expect the Fed to cut rates at least twice in 2026, while other central banks hold or raise. If the U.S. rates fall, your dollars earn less, so money flows toward higher yielding currencies like the yen, the euro, and the Swiss francs. Third, there's a 38 trillion national debt combined with Trump's aggressive spending plans. Also, there is another shutdown. The government is probably going to shut down here pretty soon, which is also threatening the finances. And then, of course, you have, like I said earlier, the gold is surging to record heights. So there's a lot of different things taking place there. Of course, this particular person, I think, leans more toward one direction than the other. And so lot going on with the U.S. dollar there. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do or anything like that with your finances, but it may not be a bad idea to kind of just keep an eye on it. Some people would say, have enough in your bank account to at least be able to afford the bills that come, but you might want to stack up because cash is king. Some people may say that, but if your money becomes worthless, then where's it going to go anyway? Other people might suggest putting your finances into commodities, tradables, things like that, that'll sustain you and help you. But like I said, we're kind of in uncharted territory, and we've been towing this line for quite some time with shutdowns that come. And so we'll just see what happens. But my personal opinion, like I've already stated concerning this, is that the network is already in place. The know-how, the switch over to a decentralized U.S. coin that will hold the new standard for the new dollar has already been implemented. And I think that this could be a manufactured crash by the administration on purpose, as gold and silver and other assets are being revalued. Okay. Everything's being revalued right now to handle our debt. Okay. That's what they're doing. That's the plan. Okay. Is that they're going to roll our debt into the crypto space and back it up by the new value system in metals and precious metals. And of course, they're able to do that. It won't work under our current. It's not going to work under our current fiat currency. So they're going to have to crash the U.S. dollar. And so I think, in my personal opinion, this is being done on purpose. And when you have Trump putting it out there on his social media that the U.S. that the U.S. dollar is collapsing, and it's happening right now, only spurs that movement even further when you have a U.S. president that's actually admitting that, hey, this is taking place. We're doing this now. Okay, so that's just my personal opinion. I'm not an expert. Okay, we could wake up tomorrow morning and things could be back to normal. Okay, it could be back to normal, and because this could be just a fun little conversation we're having that'll get lost in the archives and eventually deleted in a year later. So there's that tonight. Let's see what else we got going on as we talk about Doomsday Clock 2026, because that's what's going on with the U.S. finances. But what's happening here in Iran? Well, we got a couple of different pieces of news to talk about here. Developing reports of an explosion at our Iran nuclear facility. Let's take a look at what's happening there. Now, let me fix the screen. They're asking what happened to our cash. I'm not 100% sure what will happen or how drastic that change will be, or if we'll even get to that point. But we are moving in that direction, and we know eventually the U.S. dollar will crash. I mean, we're $38 trillion in debt. But Glenn Beck had a nice theory a while back, but he said, you may go to the bank and trade in your cash for digital money, and you may have a certain amount of time to trade in whatever cash you have to get the high value. And then once that deadline passes, then you can still trade in your cash, but it'll be for a lower value. That's what Glenn Beck had talked about a while back. But Belinda Repose says, what is normal? Good question. I have no idea. All right. Reports have emerged of a possible explosion at an Iranian nuclear facility, raising concerns and renewed discussions in Washington about potential military action, according to The Express. The reported incident comes at a time of heightened tension as U.S. President Donald Trump said to be weighing the option of a military strike against Iran. Details surrounding the reported explosion remain limited. Initial accounts suggest the blast may be targeted a nuclear-related site, though Iranian officials have not confirmed the nature or cause of the incident. State-leaked media in Iran have offered little clarification, leaving uncertainty about whether the event was a result of an accident, sabotage, or internal or external attack. The report surfaces against a backdrop of long-standing dispute over Iran's nuclear program. Western governments have repeatedly accused Tehran of pursuing nuclear weapons capabilities, a claim Iran has consistently denied, insisting its program is intended solely for peaceful energy purposes. Any damage to a nuclear facility, whether confirmed or not, risk escalating an already volatile situation in the region. The timing of the reported explosion is notable as it coincides with renewed political rhetoric in the United States. Trump has reportedly been considering military options as part of a broader hardline stance on Iran, echoing policies from his previous administration that included economic sanctions and the withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal. As of now, there have been no independent verification of the explosion nor confirmation of casualty or structural damage. Analysts caution that incomplete information and the lack of official statements make it difficult to access the full implications of the report. Nevertheless, the incident is intensifying international attention on Iran's nuclear infrastructure and the fragile balance of power surrounding it. So, it's very possible it could be sabotage, could be a false FLAG, just to kind of get tensions going even more in that region. there's that thing to think about over there. But as of right now, it's nothing more than just reports. According to the article, it is unverified. Nobody's coming out and saying whether this did happen or didn't happen. If it did happen, which I'm kind of leaning towards, the fact that it did happen, because if it didn't happen, you would have a report right away stating, yeah, that's false. But the fact that that part has not come out, it kind of suggests that there was an incident, but they're just not wanting to talk about how that took place. And so, it could be an internal thing. They got a lot of internal unrest taking place in Iran as well, with the citizens and against the Iranian regime and things like that. So there's a list of ways that this could have happened. But in my personal opinion, it does not look like the U.S. was involved in this. I don't think we did it, just because simple fact, we've seen what it looks like when the United States does this, and we're not getting that feel off of this. Like I said, but this is unconfirmed reports coming out of Iran. As we discussed tonight, Doomsday 2026. And definitely appreciate all you guys coming. We got Donna Jasmine now in. We've got Melody, Dwight, Lisa joining us, Isabel. Thank you guys. Thank you all for being here. Dean, I love it. Venus Sage. So good to have you all with us this evening. Thank you so much. Please give us a thumbs up and like tonight. And of course, we appreciate all you guys watching us over on Rumble tonight, as we got a pretty good little crowd over there on Rumble. If you're on Rumble, we are on a 10 minutes delay. Not 10 minute, 10-second delay over there. But you can comment in the chat room over there. I will see you, okay? And those of you that are watching us over on X, I don't know how many are watching us on X. I can find out real quick, though. A handful of you watching us on X, you can also chat in your chat box over there, and I'll be able to see it. It'll pop up on my screen, that where you're chatting from this evening. All right. So we've talked about, those of you just coming on tonight, we have talked about the U.S. dollar collapse. It's collapsed 50% today. Trump admitting that collapse is happening as we speak. Gold prices over $5,000 an ounce, leading to part of that collapse. We're talking about Iran. Reports of an explosion at a nuclear facility there in Iran. Of course, today's headliner being Doomsday Clock 2026. And so we're leading to that article tonight, as there is a lot taking place this evening. Back to Iran, if that wasn't enough, we've got this going on. Iran threatens to sink the USS Abraham Lincoln as the Middle East edges closer to a cataclysmic showdown. All right. And this article is from today. And this is an opinion piece. Okay. This is an opinion article. Very important that we mention that. And I'm going to fix this real quick so we can make it a little bit larger for you guys. There we go. All right, it says the United States has gathered more firepower in the Middle East than we have ever seen before. It exceeds anything that we have witnessed during Operation Desert Storm. It exceeds anything we have witnessed during the war in Afghanistan, which, remember, side note, that war in Afghanistan started because of 9/11. And it exceeds anything that we have witnessed during the war in Iraq, also 9/11. That doesn't necessarily mean that war is imminent. President Trump could ultimately decide not to pull the trigger. But without a doubt, at this moment, we are exceedingly close to a cataclysmic showdown in the Middle East. Oops, sorry, guys. I didn't mean to mess that up. Okay, it is being reported that the USS Abraham Lincoln has officially arrived in the Middle East. The aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and its 3 accompanying warships have sailed into the Middle East region, providing President Trump additional military firepower if he decides to strike Iran. The USS Abraham Lincoln is equipped with Mk-57 Mod 3 Sea Sparrow surface-to-air missile launchers that can carry a squadron of bombers and early warning planes, and its strike groups are in the U.S. Central Command CENTCOM area with encompasses the Middle East region, the command confirmed on Monday. In addition to the carrier in the region comes as Trump warned Thursday that the U.S. is sending an armada towards Iran after nationwide protests in the country where thousands of demonstrators have been killed by authorities. Some of us have been carefully tracking the movements of the USS Abraham Lincoln in recent days. Once the protests in Iran got really crazy, this carrier was deployed from the Indian Ocean and it has a maximum capacity of 90 aircraft. The NyPrepper-class aircraft carrier is hauling 5 squadrons of strike fighters with a max capability of 90 aircraft. Those include the FA-18 Super Hornets, F-35 Lightning II stealth fighters, and AE-18G Growler radar jammers, along with opsi-tilt rotor transports and MH-60S Seahawk helicopters. Of course, the USS England is not traveling alone. It is being accompanied by 3 guided missile destroyers that are fully loaded with Tomahawk cruise missiles. Okay, so a lot of firepower going on out there. In Iran, of course, today, the Iranian government threatening anyway to sink the Abraham Lincoln. That would be a very big mistake if they do that. Now, not only did this come out today, but we're getting rumors that not only did Trump send out this particular Armada fleet, but now he has now sent potentially a second Armada out that direction, heading toward Iran. So things are definitely edging. To me, just by seeing how Trump does things, one, he's not going to let the public know what he's doing. And we've kind of seen even Trump kind of say, oh, you know what? I've decided we're not even going to strike these guys. They seem to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're doing better, kind of like easing the tension with his words. But in backroom channels, things are actually ratcheting up. But that's the Trump way of doing things. He's not going to let the general public know exactly what he's going to do. And he always seems to be able to strike when people's guards are down. When we think that he's going to do something, it doesn't happen. But it always happens when everyone's guards are down. And that's pretty much what Trump is waiting on, my personal opinion. With all the firepower out there and Israel's involvement, it does seem to me that we could be looking at some sort of a regime change coming in Iran for the people of Iran. Pretty close to, I think it may even be close to what we just saw in Venezuela. He may not even be dropping anything over there. This all could be just simply showboating while everybody's looking to the skies for what may be coming. They maybe should be looking at the ground because we could be. In my personal opinion, it's possible we could pull another Venezuela in Iran, and next thing you know, you hear that we just took the Ayatollah in custody and could be sitting with Macro in New York City. Just saying, you never know. It's very possible. And so there may not even be a missile launched. And then we've got a regime change. Just something to think about. This could be something that is in play, in my personal opinion, just because of how we've seen this administration work. That is something to think about. So got 66 of you guys on here. Thank you for being here. Jerry Gator, good to see you on. Thank you for coming on tonight here on the channel. 71 of you now. All right. So tonight we're talking about Doomsday Clock 2026. So far, for those of you who are just now coming on, we have discussed a few topics. So you may want to go back and start from the beginning. But we opened up talking about the crash of the U.S. dollar down 50% due to uncertainties with the government shutdown coming, gold reaching $5,000 an ounce, and other things at play. And so, and of course, even Trump coming out and admitting that the U.S. dollar is crashing. It's happening right now. I show you that tweet at the beginning. Also, we talked about Iran. We talked about the report of one of their nuclear factories being blown up and figuring out who did that. And so we talked about that. We talked about the USS Abraham Lincoln as Iran threatens to sink that over there. And so we're going to switch gears from Iran now, and we are going to go into the next thing that is making big news. And if you haven't heard about it, you're about to hear about it. If it ain't from me, you're going to hear it from somebody. And I think this has the potential to be the next, well, I have to be careful how I put this, but the next 2020 emergency. Okay. It has the potential. But here's what we got going on here. I posted this over on X a few days ago, just as a hint. Every once in a while, if I get over on X, if I see something that's potentially coming, I'll put something over just as a kind of a hint. Hey, we're probably going to look into this. And here we go. The NyPrepper, okay, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but the NyPrepper virus outbreak triggers airport screenings in India. All right, so what happened in India is basically we had five fatalities due to this virus, or 5 infections due to this virus. You got, including 2 nurses, 100 people are in quarantine. It's estimated that this particular virus has a mortality rate of 75%. Okay, we're seeing airports around the globe, especially around Asia and countries surrounding India, are shutting down, are shutting air service coming out of India because, well, obviously they don't want this. So let's see what the report has to say. This is from BBC News report. An outbreak of the NyPrepper virus in India's West Bengal state has led to some airports in Asia introducing screening measures for passengers arriving from the affected areas, according to BBC News report. Health authorities in Thailand have started screening passengers at 3 major international airports that receive flights from West Bengal. These measures include temperature checks and health quarantines, focusing on travelers arriving from the region where the outbreak has been identified. Okay. Similarly, Nepal has begun health screenings at its international airport and at nearby land border crossings with India. Officials there have set up health desks to monitor incoming travelers for symptoms consistent with the NyPrepper virus infection. The virus itself has a zoonotic pathogen that is transmitted from animals such as fruit bats and pigs to humans. In previous outbreaks, it has also passed between people who have close contact with infected individuals. Symptoms can include fever, headache, respiratory issues, and severe cases of encephalitis or inflammation of the brain. And it has no widely available vaccine or specific cure. Fatality rates in the past outbreaks have been high, ranging from about 40 to 75%. Indian health authorities have confirmed several cases of several cases in West Bengal, including infections among healthcare workers, prompting heightened surveillance and quarantine measures for individuals who have had close contact with confirmed patients. Although the outbreak is currently localized, these stepped-up screening at airports in neighboring countries reflects concerns about the virus's potential to spread through international travel. Public health officials emphasize that these measures are precautionary, aimed to detect possible cases early and limit the further spread. Okay, so right now it is localized in this area, but anytime we see these type of viruses pop up, whether it's like monkeypox or some type of new variant of COVID or anything like that, it is definitely worth watching, especially when we see the upheaval that's going on around us, and we kind of saw this back in 2020 or 2019, actually. It was really in 2019 when this stuff got going. We kind of saw this, and there was quite a bit of upheaval going on in government. There was a lot of eyes looking in areas that nobody really wanted those eyes looking, and so we got the distraction. And history's pretty well repeating itself, in my personal opinion, right now. And so when you start to see these things, you really do need to pay attention, not because out of fear or anything like that, but pay attention with when you see something like this with what's going on globally right now, okay? That's what I'm saying, because there's going to be something that they're going to want to turn the eyes away from. There's going to be something that's going to happen that they're going to be like, okay, look over here, okay? And so when you see something like this that could potentially be a global issue, pay attention to it, and then pay attention to what's going on around you. So that's what's happening there this evening, okay? As we talk about Doomsday Clock 2026. And so we're going to get into that article here, if I can find it. Give me just a second here. Because I know that article just came out. Just a second here. I do appreciate everybody coming on tonight and being a part of our broadcast this evening as we talk about Doomsday Clock. And let's see, search that out real quick. Just let me do it. Oh, here it is. All right, let's get into the discussion here. I found it. Doomsday Clock, Doomsday Clock says apocalypse is closer than ever. Okay, so that's kind of why we went through all those articles this evening to kind of build us up to this right here. So you can kind of get an idea of what they're looking at. And of course, they'll probably go through some stuff here in a moment. But it says on January 27th of 2026, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists announced that its symbolic doomsday clock has been moved to 85 seconds to midnight, marking the closest and metaphoric indicator of global catastrophe has ever been to midnight. According to the USA Today, the annual update reflects scientists' assessments of worsening existential risk from nuclear weapons, climate change, and emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence. The Doomsday Clock, first introduced in 1947 by Bulletin, is designed as a visual metaphor for how close humanity stands to destroying itself through its own technologies and politics. Midnight represents an image or an imagined global catastrophe, a point of no return. At 85 seconds to midnight, the clock is now closer to that symbolic end than at any previous time in its history. In setting this year's time, the Bulletin Scientists and Security Board cited a series of pressing threats. Nuclear tensions remain high, with ongoing conflicts involving nuclear-armed states and weakening armed control agreements contributing to instability. The looming expiration of the New START treaty between the United States and Russia has signaled out as a particularly alarming development, raising fears that long-standing nuclear limits could unravel. Climate change is also predominantly in the deliberations. Scientists heightened insignificant global action to curb greenhouse gas emissions and the increasing severity of extreme weather events as indicators that the world is not making the needed progress to address this slow-moving but devastating threat. Beyond nuclear and environmental, the Bulletin emphasizes its role of advanced technologies in sharp risk. Rapid development in artificial technology, especially when unregulated, were noted for the potential to spread disinformation, amplify social instability, and even contribute to biological threats through misuse of AI-assisted research. The clock's movement reflects not just specific threats, but the Bulletin's broader concern that global leadership is faltering. According to the organization's statement, geopolitical competition and nationalistic policies have undermined international cooperation on shared risk, accelerating the pace toward midnight. While critics sometimes question the precision of the Doomsday Clock as a predictive tool. Its creators fame it as a call to action, a way to focus attention on preventable dangers and motivate leaders and criticize alike to respond before it's too late. So that's what's happening there. So Doomsday Clock's been moved towards its 85 seconds to midnight. It's closest ever to midnight. Before, of course, a lot of indicators that leading us into that this evening. And we go through this every year in January. They always update the clock there. It's almost like a Groundhog Day, you know. Every February 2nd, we wait for the groundhog to come out and let us know if we're going to keep having winter or spring's coming early. In January, it's a doomsday clock. It always comes out and let us know how close we are to midnight. Of course, there is a lot to be concerned about. There's a lot going on around the world and in our governments and spaces around us. And so a lot taking place there. And right now I'm trying to get back to where I was. Let's see, give me just a second here. Yes, Donna, we don't need a clock to know that Christ is returning. That's for sure. We got the signs all around us. And I think I'll try this again, but I think Twitter X just crashed on me. Let's try this again. Here we go. Okay. All right, so let's see what else we can find here. We got a few more minutes before we have to get off of here, but let's see if we can chart around X for a moment. I just refreshed it. Here we go again. For those of you just coming on, the Fed is about to collapse the dollar. And this is an opinion, but it says when rates stop working, governments sow after currencies. That's exactly what's happened in 1985, and the dollar collapsed for years. Back then, the USD got too strong. Trade deficits exploded. Tariffs were coming. So here's a chart right here. It kind of shows you the US dollar has now fallen below its 14-year support level. So it's kind of in free fall right at the moment. We've got breaking news coming out. Japan just called an emergency monetary meeting at 6:50 p.m. They'll announce new interest rates and disclose when they plan to sell $620 billion in U.S. stocks and ETFs. Expect high market volatility. All right. So tomorrow could be a very interesting day with the stock market. Now, just remember, I am not. And of course, we got Denny Salino following, sharing our stuff. That's our broadcast there. Thank you, sir. So anyway, Asian markets getting ready to start selling off U.S. bonds. Trump okay with a weak dollar. So part of the move in precious metals was likely been a rotation or a diversion by central bank funds out of the USD. The dollar index hits its lowest level in a year at 95.80. For context, it was at $109 before Trump came. So there's that. And here's that mug I showed you guys earlier. Breaking, President Trump says the dollar collapse is happening right now. Okay, I'm actually going to add that over on my side. So you guys can go back and see that, reference it. All right. Of course, Bloomberg's putting some stuff out there. Here's another good visual. Breaking, the U.S. dollar tumbles to a fresh 4-year low after President Trump says the U.S. dollar is doing great and is not concerned about its decline. Of course, they're blaming Trump for what he said, but that's not what happened. It's because gold has now over $5,000 an ounce. Silver's gone up. The precious metal market is just booming. It's what's happening. And there's more value in precious metals than what the U.S. dollar is backed by. That's what's happening. Okay. Plus, we have the uncertainty with what's going on with our U.S. Treasury, our government's getting ready to go back another shutdown again. A lot of stuff taking place there. So the dollar is dead. They just admitted it. So this is basically what's all happening here. I'm on just a regular feed. I didn't even search this. I'm not even, because usually when you go on Twitter X, if you just hit the search, then you can pull out any news article you want. You know, if I wanted to put like Iranian war, then my feed would show nothing but Iranian war. But I didn't do that. I didn't search anything out. This is what is trending on X right now, and every article is about the crash of the U.S. dollar right now. Okay, so you're praying for our country right now. Graphs are popping up everywhere, and of course, you got to be careful of misinformation here as well. So, graph after graph here, just kind of showing what's going on. Bull theory stating that the U.S. dollar index has now broken its 15-year uptrend. This is happening due to the JPY strength, along with the IMF warning of a rapid sell-off of U.S. dollar assets. Monthly candle closes in 3 days, and if it closes below the trend line, dollar could crash hard. All right, so that was as of 4 hours ago. So yeah, a lot going on here. And of course, we have the outlet from the Washington Post talking about that outbreak that we discussed already tonight. Then we got breaking news from 10 minutes ago, according to Bricks News, is that just in, China's largest state-owned oil producer suspends purchases of Venezuelan oil. So now China is no longer going to buy oil from Venezuela. All right, that's probably good news for us, because that means that oil is probably going to come our direction, which is probably what Trump wanted to begin with. He was cutting oil production to China anyway from Venezuela. So, but anyway, that's breaking news. China's largest state-owned oil producer suspends purchases of oil. Then U.S. shutdown is officially confirmed now, as poly market odds have it just plummeted to 78%. This is the start of the bear market. Like I said, we're not financial experts at all. So, like I said, in my personal opinion, this is we knew this was going to happen. Okay, we knew that the dollar collapse was going to come, probably manufactured, as I stated earlier. Of course, I gave out all those reasons earlier today. So a lot going on there. That's all that's on here. It's just the dollar market. Okay. The dollar market. Okay. Gold up now to $5,215 an ounce as of an hour ago. So gold has gone up another $200 in the last hour since we've been on. So that's what's happening. The reset is on, folks. We may be sitting through the reset right now. Silver just surged to $118 an ounce. So we're seeing the markets just go crazy in the precious metals department. So anyway, reset's on, guys. That's all I can tell you. And we'll see what happens. We're all going to be in it together. Let's see. Mr. President Trump signals a shift toward crypto. The current financial system in decades behind the times it needs to be replaced. Digital assets may soon take center stage. The transition would be closer than we think. Okay. Disclosed TVs also now got some breaking news. This is 41 minutes ago, but it says U.S. Secretary of State Rubio says the U.S. is prepared to use force to ensure that Venezuela's acting president cooperates to the greatest extent possible with the U.S. And this is according to Bloomberg News. So it looks like Venezuela, the president there, may not be doing her part. And so they're saying that she doesn't do what they want her to do. The U.S. is probably going to go in and make sure they do what they're supposed to do. So there's that. Also breaking news. Here's something that this is pretty interesting. And I'm going to leave with this because I talked about this. President Trump's team is now weighing options to oust the communist Cuban regime, including a naval blockade to choke off oil imports. First Venezuela, next Cuba. China is furious. Welcome to the Trump doctrine. All right, so they're talking about that. I think we're already doing that, though. I think that's already happening. So that's not too surprising that would be happening. Cheyenne says, so the dollar is toilet paper. It could be that, not right this second. I mean, it's not like you're going to wake up tomorrow and you can't buy anything. It just makes it harder for people to invest in our country. It makes it harder to do business. But like I said at the beginning of this, I think what's happening, in my personal opinion, I'm not an expert at this at all, but I think what's happening is we're seeing the transition. When we have the collapse of the U.S. dollar, they already have the digital dollar ready to go. And really, in order to reset the U.S. system or to reset the global system, we have to find a way to get rid of all this debt. We've got $38 trillion that we're not going to pay back. There's no way the United States is going to pay that back. So what do? You crash the system. You start all over. How do you get rid of that debt? You roll that debt into the crypto markets. And let people buy into that debt. And then you transfer out of fiat currency and you switch over to a digital currency and you reevaluate everything. And that's what's happening in the metals market right now. Gold, silver, anything in precious metals is being reevaluated. That's why gold has gone up over $5,000. That's why silver is over $100 an ounce now, because everything's being reevaluated to handle the reset that's coming, so that the digital dollar isn't just digital, but it's also backed by something. So that's exactly what it is. You will own nothing and you will love it. That's the direction that we are that's the direction we are going, especially as this administration. We're going to see this really soon, but soon we're going to be rolling out 50-year mortgages for homes. Right now, you can buy a house at 20 or 30-year mortgage, but 50-year mortgages are coming out. Why are we doing 50-year mortgages? Well, because the housing market, even if it crashes, those prices aren't going to come down. If anything, they're going to go up even more. Houses, right now, I think it's close to $300,000. The average cost for a house in the United States, that cost is probably going to go up to $500,000. People can't afford that. The average person cannot afford to buy a home. So what do? You increase the loan. You make it a larger span. So now if you buy a house at $500,000 with a 50-year mortgage, well, now you've made that home more affordable. The bad side is, one, you'll probably never own that home, okay, which is the whole point. Secondly, the banks are going to make a ton of money, but it's going to be all under the umbrella of making it more affordable. You're going to see the same thing roll out for vehicles as well, because to buy a new vehicle off the car lot, those cars are running anywhere between $80,000 to $120,000 for a brand new car. The average Joe cannot afford that. So what do? You increase the mortgage, the auto loans. Okay, you may be able to buy a car on a 15-year loan. Well, if you do that, you made those car payments cheaper so people can get them. But will you really ever own that vehicle? No, you're not going to ever own that vehicle. You'll probably get totaled out, bought by insurance. You'll probably end up turning around selling it, trading it in, or you just may not live to see ownership of that vehicle. That's really the whole point. That's where all of this is going. So it's part of the new reset, part of the new system that's on its way. So it's going to be under the guidelines of affordability. And yeah, you may be able to get your house, you may be able to get your vehicle, but you'll never own it. You'll just never own it. And that's kind of the direction this is going. So Anyway, it is now 9:05. I am past my time, but thank you guys all so much for being a part of our broadcast this evening. And so everything that we're talking about tonight, guys, is really just signs of the times. It's signs that we're getting closer to something coming. I haven't even gotten into the article tonight yet, and I'm probably going to save that for when I get back into town. Not next week. We won't be live with you guys. We'll have COT coming up next week. But when I get back in town, I'm probably looking at doing something about the third temple, because we're starting to get some chatter of some movements heading into that direction. So we'll get into that not next week, but the week after next. So, but everything that's happening, this is part of this. That's the new system. And once it gets established and people sign on with it, life may be okay for a little bit, but then that's when the hammer's going to fall, and you're going to have to submit to the rules and regulations. And if you don't, you get cut off. Okay, where have we seen that before? Okay, where in the Bible does it tell us that? In the book of Revelation, right? That's where we're going. It's happening very quickly. Everything is progressing very quickly, and our time is at hand. Okay. Our time is at hand. And so I tell you guys this evening, make sure that you're all is well with your soul. Make sure that you're not doing things you're not supposed to, but keep your heart not only physically healthy, but keep your heart spiritually pure and be ready for that day. For the Matthew tells us in Matthew 24 and Luke 21 that when we begin to see these things, to do what? To look up and know that our redemption draw nigh. So any day, guys, any day, we are living in the last moments of this generation, and at any moment the Lord could come and return. And when he does, everything is in place for the New World Order. Everything's in place. Technology is available for tracking systems and for the implementation of the mark of the beast. Everything is in place. Like, there's nothing missing. Okay, nothing is missing at all. Just waiting for somebody to pull that trigger. Just waiting for the eyes to be open. That's where we're at. That's it. So, that's it. So we do these reports on Tuesday nights just to kind of give you guys an idea of where we're at from a prophetic point of view. As always, I always recommend everyone to do your own research. Make sure that you are looking at things on your own, not just taking it from my word or anybody else's, but make sure you pray about it and make sure that you do your own research on topics like this. And that's how you stay away from being deceived or decepted or falling into that lines of deception. But do your own research as well. Okay. Don't just take it up from me or anybody else, but make sure you look into it as well. So that being said, everyone, have a great evening. God bless you. We'll be on tomorrow night for Pastor Talk at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time with myself and my wife as we continue our study on Proverbs. We've been looking at Proverbs for this month, and so we're going to continue that tomorrow night with some devotionals in the book of Proverbs. If you have any prayer requests, you can come on tomorrow. Put those prayer requests in the chat room. When we're live tomorrow evening, we'll pray with you for those requests before we exit off. So make sure you do that. We have broadcasts up and going. As a matter of fact, we'll have one tonight here in about 50 minutes over on DE Studios. Make sure you guys go over to DE Studios. Make sure that let's see. Make sure that you guys be a part of what's going on over there. We have Monday through Thursday. We've got archived broadcasts from COT that are on that you guys can catch. Our moderators up and keep that going for us. And then on Fridays, Saturday, and Sundays, we kick on the 24-hour feed, and we just kind of have a BpEarthWatch music and some old stuff from COT, Paul Begley, that kind of just broadcast in the background while you watch the live feeds of the earthquakes and things like that. And the chat room's open during that entire time. So we do that over there. Here on the main channel on DailyExcellence, we'll have new broadcasts from COT up and going this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Next week, we will not be here. I will not be live with you guys. However, we will have broadcasts from COT both on Tuesday and Wednesday, and at our normal broadcast times. And so a lot going on next week. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to catch COT here on our channel. And just remember too, when it comes to COT and how we do things, one, we have permission from Mike to rebroadcast his material here on Daily Excellence. Okay, we are not affiliated, corporation wise or ministry wise with COT. However, we are a friend of COT. They're a friend of us. We have a lot of subscribers from both ends that intertwine, and we have moderators and people in our prayer groups and things like that are admins over at COT. They're admin over here. And so we are intertwined, but our ministries are separate. We are allowed to broadcast COT material over here with the permission and blessing of Mike. We do not sell any of his content. We don't put it behind a paywall or anything like that. Anytime you see anything, it is free, just like it's free over at COT. Any broadcast, if you can't find it here, you'll find it there. If you can't find it there, you'll find it here, but it's free to obtain. Okay. You can do whatever you want with it. And, we just ask that, that you don't sell any of it, because if you do sell it, COT, they're going to catch you over there. Okay. They've been dropping the hammer down on people doing that. And there's been a lot of fraud that's come out of people who have tried to make a lot of money off of him, or try to pretend like they're COT and take donations and things like that. We don't do that here on Daily Excellence. We've been honest from the very beginning on that. And so, we prefer that you guys go over to COT and make your donations to Mike and help his ministry out. And we have videos here on the channel that show you how to do that. Okay. Especially over on DE Studios, we run quite a few videos over there on how to do that. So, but just want to put that out there. We take very cautious, and we take a lot of care and responsibility when we handle content that comes from over at COT. All right. So that being said, everyone, have a great evening. God bless you. Remember, you may be the only Jesus someone sees this week, so keep a smile on your face. Good night, everyone.